Something that has confused a lot of new real estate investors when it comes to the mortgage process, and that would be assumable mortgages versus subject to. So, an assumable mortgage is usually going to be an FHA loan, a VA loan, or a USDA loan where the current homeowner locked in an interest rate a couple years ago when interest rates were significantly lower, or just any point in time when the rates were lower. And you kind of go through the same process as you would as a regular borrower. So, you go through the lender that the loan is currently with, and they would need to approve you based on your income, your assets, your credit, everything like that. And then with an assumable mortgage, you usually need to come up with the difference of the current balance versus the purchase price. So that's kind of how assumable mortgages work, and they are usually a pretty slow process. So think, 45 plus days for closing. And with a subject to mortgage, that is something that is more so just in the investment world. And a subject to would be where you are kind of taking over someone's existing mortgage. So they're moving the deed into your name. You own the house now, but the mortgage stays in their name. So something to consider in this situation is that if you're the buyer or the seller, you have different things that you need to think about. If you're the seller of the property, you have to keep in mind that that mortgage is going to be staying in your name, and you would need to assure that the new buyer actually made the mortgage payments. Another thing to consider is that the lender could call a due on sale clause at some point if they wanted to, meaning that they found out that the ownership had changed hands without them knowing, and they could require the buyer of the property to either refinance the loan into their name very quickly or to sell the property. So there is a lot of nuances in both those scenarios, but it's definitely a very different thing for subject to versus an assumable loan. And side note, assumable mortgages are usually going to be a property that you would live in as your primary residence.